A top NXT star is now going by a different name. And let's just say the consensus is not really positive on that name change. We go into that along with a lot more to it. Also, Randy Orton has recently discussed how all of those RKOs that he's delivered in his career are taking a toll on his body. What does that really mean? We'll discuss that. And finally, Tony Khan has mentioned how many people AEW has reached globally in 2021. It's a very large number, and maybe AEW can improve upon that in 2022. We talk about that and much more in today's Sportskeeda Top Story.
Watch out, watch out, watch out, watch out!
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. It is your Wednesday edition of Sportskeeda Top Story. I am Jeremy Bennett, and with me, look at this. We got a special guest here alongside SP3 Sid is in the house. You know him from talking smack talk. I can't remember what
smack talk.
Yeah. And also his brand new Believe in Pro Wrestling podcast with Rick Cucino. Sid, how you doing tonight, man?
I am doing well. Glad to be back on Top Story with you, Jeremy. We got some wrestling news to discuss, and it's gotten a lot of people talking, so I can't wait to talk about it here with all of you.
Oh man, I don't know what to think of this, but yeah, let's just get right into it. It is beneficial by the WWE. They have announced that Walter is indeed undergoing a name change. He is now going to be known as Gunther. There was some confusion last night after the main event when he defeated Roderick Strong on NXT 2.0. And of course, there has been an immediate backlash, as a lot of people know that WWE filed a trademark for Gunther Stark, which was the name of a U-boat commander who served under the Nazi regime in World War II. First off, what do you think of the name change here outside of, at least they just went with one name and not the full name. But what do you think of this name change, Sid?
It's stupid. It's very, 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 very stupid. Because
you might have missed a very in there.
Yeah. It just is mind numbing that you have somebody and you build them up as this monster, this final boss of an entire brand, 870 days as NXT UK champion, pretty much undefeated for his first 2 years in the company, one loss in his whole career in the WWE, well, 2 if you count Survivor Series 2019, but I don't understand the name change now because he's in NXT 2.0. I don't get it. Like, we're not supposed to remember that this is Walter. You literally had the match with him as Walter, and then at the end you say his name is Gunther. We already got a name change because his name is not Walter, it's Volta is how they pronounced it when he was on the independent scene, and then when he came to WWE we wanted to pronounce it un-German like, which is Walter. Yeah. So but I don't understand how that is. It's not German enough. So he was like, let's make it Gunther.
Well, at least they did not add Stark to it, because like David said in the chat here, Gunther Stark, you Google that and you see that it was a commander for the Nazi regime in World War II. So that's most of the general public is not going to know that. They're just going to know that he's Gunther. They're not going to know that WWE filed a trademark for Gunther Stark. So the majority of the people are going to, there won't be as much of an outrage, at least since they just went with the singular name, and they probably realized, oh, why, once they had trademarked that name, they realized, oh shit, we better not use that name or they're really going to get it coming to them. But I mean, it was a tremendous main event last night though, wasn't it?
Oh, I love the main event. Walter went out there with Roderick Strong and they put on a banger, as most of us expected. It was hard hitting. It was high impact moves. And, Walter winning in the end makes me optimistic that they're going to do something with him on NXT 2.0. But sadly, No one is talking about that great main event to NXT 2.0. They are talking about the stupid decision to change Walter's name. That's all anybody is talking about. This will go down as one of the most universally panned name changes in WWE history.
I'm already seeing memes of Walter's head on Gunther from Friends. I'm already seeing that meme pop out as well.
My favorite meme that I saw is Walter with the original Aunt Viv on top, and then Gunther with the light skin Aunt Viv on top. I like that one the most.
I don't get it. I don't get it. You know, you have all that recognition with all the time that he was a champion as Walter. It just doesn't make any sense to me. Why to change it? It just makes no sense. I don't know. And
It's
Keith Lee.
It's just a confusing decision overall, in my opinion, because it just seems like they don't know what they're doing. The fact that, you know, a lot of people have been saying, you know, the good part about this is that they didn't go with the trademark name of Gunther Starks, but it just is very mind-boggling that they even trademarked the name and they didn't Google it before.
Oh my God! As we got Kev in here now.
Keep going, guys. I got an audio issue. Keep rolling.
All right, I'll pop you out of it for now. God, it's just the fact that you didn't need to do it. But Keith Lee last night, this is before the name change was actually official, but Keith Lee going, man, if what I'm hearing is real, poor Walter. And then Lance Storm also on Twitter saying, need I remind everyone, Vince saw me as the partying, dancing guy. Gunther is too much of a stretch all of a sudden. But Keith Lee, good point there. Poor Walter, because geez, you know, you built everything around this guy, and in the NXT UK, and then you got to change his name. I just don't get it. It's ridiculous. But you know, let's move on from that. Our next topic is the Legend Killer. Randy Orton recently had an interview with Fox 2 Now, talking about the 20th anniversary of his first match in WWE. 2022 is going to mark that, and of course, he's collected 2 Royal Rumble match victories. He is 1 Royal Rumble win away from tying Stone Cold Steve Austin. He said in this interview with Fox 2 Now that I jump as high as I can, grab the guy's neck, come crashing down to the mat. I've been doing that for a very long time, and I kind of wish I could go back in time and create a finishing move that didn't entail me jumping as high as I can, landing on my back. After doing that a couple of thousand times over the last few decades, I'm starting to feel it. What does that tell you there, Sid? Does it tell you that maybe he's kind of saying that the days are possibly behind him there?
I think that is saying that he's been in this game for for about 20 years. I think
a lifetime, man.
There's only so many bumps that you got on your bump card, and he's doing an extra bit with this finishing move. I think that, you know, Randy Orton is in the stage where he's trying to build to the future. That's why he has the whole tag team with Riddle, which should probably, you know, end off with a match at WrestleMania. So he's trying to build Riddle as a new future star. So I think Orton realizes where he's at in his career, and that the amount of RKOs that he's done is the reason why he probably can't go another 10 years or so.
Yeah, it is amazing. He is 41, so and has been doing it for a very long time. So basically, you know, your bump card. You've got some people that may not have that. They may be older that may not have that bump card, like Christian, like Edge. You know, but Randy's done it almost consistently ever since age 21.
Yeah, I mean, the guy is Randy Orton. If you're a hardcore fan, you're a casual fan, he is one of the pillars of WWE at the moment. He's getting into Undertaker territory, or he's already been there for a while. This is a smarter, wiser Randy Orton. He's had those transgressions in the past. Are you getting good Randy? You're getting bad Randy. We've been getting good Randy for a long, long time, and I don't mean that in a bad way. I think there's some people would say that for a while. And also, you're getting a guy who has so much dynamic ability. He's not just, he is the definitive version of himself. We don't have to see a new character or anything like that. But if he's heel, he can make it work. If he's a babyface now, he can make it work. Which, when a couple of years ago, I don't think that was something you could have done with him. Maybe even 5 or 6 years ago, it's like, no, he's got to be a heel. He's got to be a heel. Even if he did a little bit of babyface stuff, he had to get back to being a heel. Now he's proven like, no, this crowd just loves him. Once you're around that long and you're at that level,
yep,
they can't help but love you. You know, you're in Ric Flair territory where you're such a good heel. You force the audience to then cheer for you. You almost lap yourself, kind of storyline wise, and that's a very rare thing to do in this business.
Yeah. And 20 years later, RKO still gets one of the biggest pops from the WWE
Huge.
universe today.
Easily one of the most over moves in all of professional wrestling.
So before you came in here, Kev, we mentioned the top story today was the name change of Walter made official. What are your thoughts on that?
It's a very ridiculous situation. It's very hard for me to wrap my head around it. I know the history of the name and everything like that, and the attachment to Nazism, which is awful, right? It's a very a huge faux pas. Yeah. I don't think the first name itself, Gunther, is as bad as people make it out, because you can still chant it. It's still one name. It's a WWE thing. We have to own the name. It's a licensing thing. It's not just a WWE thing now as well. It's a partner thing. It's a television partner thing. It's a big thing their television partners want. Some people kind of forget about that part. That is something when they start to introduce new characters or characters that are relatively new, that aren't as established. That's something the TV partners want. I've heard that more and more recently with people that get signed to major companies, or they have a certain type of TV deal. That's been a big case. I think it's kind of silly that this is the position they're in, but also I think, you know, you're talking about a guy who's very, very talented. He's starting to prove some things that he can be on he can have some possession of the microphone and a character, and if he can will this thing through, it's okay. We've had Daniel Bryan, you know, we had Cesaro. Those were groans and kidney stones that the hardcore wrestling fan had to pass, and hopefully this too shall pass. But it is kind of ridiculous that you put him in this position. Maybe add something else to the name Walter. You know, change the spelling of the name. Give him the old Taz treatment, right? Remember that, Sid, where they just added a couple Z's to Taz? You couldn't just throw a V in a Walter or something like that? Come on.
I'm more smiling that you're using an example from 10 years ago, because none of the examples lately of
20 years ago.
No, I'm talking about the name changes. None of the examples lately of name changes have worked out well. Keith Bearcat Lee.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, at least they didn't go with the trademark name, which was tied to Nazi Germany.
Yeah.
So they just went with the singular
name. I
name.
don't understand how that's a positive for WWE. The fact they didn't Google it before they trademarked it. That makes them look like bigger idiots.
I'm not putting a positive spin on it. I'm just saying, can this guy who has this get through it? I do think this performer can get through it. I do think they made an adjustment. Obviously, somebody wanted the name change, so I think there's something more to it. It's probably one of those licensing type things as well.
Yeah.
Are we going to run into an issue when we want to put out a video game with them on it, where somebody's going to come at us for it? Are we going to get into a Marvel Comics lawsuit that we had to deal with Hulk Hogan because they own the name Incredible Hulk or something like that? And it's as ridiculous as it sounds. It's that you can't just do. It's very hard to license a first name.
Was Walter in 2K20? I didn't play 2K20.
I'm not exactly certain of that, you know? But I mean, is it going to be harder for us to put out a product with this type of character on it as compared to that character on it? And this is a company that puts out a lot of products and does a lot of different things. But I do think it's kind of silly you didn't catch this. That's a giant company. That's a big giant company making a small mistake that ripples farther than they think. You know.
Well, at least they caught it before.
I completely agree with you. I completely agree with you.
This is something that they're doing though. This is like the 3rd or 5th case of them not just like paying attention to little things. Adam Cole's contract when it was supposed to expire, when Malachi Black's non-compete clause was supposed. This is quite often that this is happening, that WWE are just missing out on little things that just makes them look incompetent.
Yeah, and thankfully they probably caught on before they decided to go public with that name change. I mean, obviously, like I said, the general public is not going to know that the WWE filed a trademark for Gunther Stark, and the general public is just going to know that he's named Gunther. So thankfully, the WWE
he's a German Austrian character. It's a common German Austrian name.
So
he's a one name character. In terms of actual names, it's not the worst pivot. The connotation and the fact that they trademarked Gunther Stark, that'll be bad.
Yeah.
But
But
this isn't as bad as it could be. It's still stupid. Like,
at least they didn't go public with Gunther Stark.
Yeah,
and they realized, oh, we better just go one name.
That's that is the only thing I can think of. This is you could have just kicked for one. I don't know why you're doing a 2-point conversion. Is basically what I'm saying. Like, you know what I mean? You're putting yourself through a little bit too much. But I do think this is a performer who can run away with it. You know, I don't understand. I don't get it though. I still don't get why you. I mean, there's probably to me it strikes me as a licensing thing. You had to do this because of a licensing agreement.
Probably,
but you could license Walter Starks. Like, I'm just saying. Like,
but then you're gonna have. But then you're gonna have the same problem.
No,
German character, last name.
No.
You don't think so?
No. That's like Ricky adding a last name, the last name of a Nazi. No,
okay.
The reason that this was brought up is because Gunther Starks, the first and last name, is the Nazi commander. You just having the last name, the people gonna say, oh, they starred John Starks or Ricky Starks' last name. Walter Starks would have been a great compromise where they could have owned the name, kept the Walter name, fans could have still chant Walter, and you could have made it a whole storyline. He wants to be known by his real name, quote unquote, Walter Stark. That's his real, like Gunther. Come on.
I don't know. I don't get it, but I think Kev's probably onto something in regards to licensing.
Yeah, this is me dealing with different bands that have been on major labels. I've been around a band who's starting to break and they get a record deal, and then they're told, like, you can't have this name because of X, Y, and Z. You know, even though you've toured behind the scene. There's a band I know, they're not existing. I can't talk about who the band is, right? This is me working in rock radio for 20 years. And we were having beers and they lay this all to me, and we were a band for this long, years. And then we sign and we get this break, and then we have to have this meeting. We're told it is a bad meeting. We just got signed and we think we're getting let go or something like that. And they're like, no, this is a bad meeting. And then they tell, like, you guys have 3 days. You have to come up with a new name. And you've been a band for you've put a lot of capital in this name. I mean, it sucks for him too. You know, he's been wrestling as Walter and like beating the crap out of people and himself for years. He's put a lot of physical sweat equity into this. You know,
was that band Mookie Blaylock?
No, I'll say they're a band from Florida. I can say that much. And they came with a name I think that's better than their original name, so it's kind of rare, you know, in that regard. I think it's a licensing thing. I don't know. I don't know that for sure. But that's me purely speculating and being around these type of things before. You know, I have to go by Hef. I was Kev Kellum on the radio for 10, 15 years. You know, like, so now I've changed. I go to another radio station. Why can't I be Kevin on air? Our morning show host is named Kevin. He's just Kevin. We can't have two guys with the first name Kevin. Both of them, you know, the white 30-something dudes with beards who probably both watch wrestling and do stand-up comedy. All of that true. So I was like, yeah, you can't do that. All right, what do I got to go by? And I don't know if that's the case with him, but there's something else to this more than we know, and it's probably some silly legal mumbo jumbo crap that you just can't get over, and it's annoying. You know, it's silly, but I do think this is a performer that can get past it. Fans, I've heard some people say this too. If they can still chant the name with the phonetics. Yeah, I guess some people are fine with that.
It'll work in the same vein.
Yeah, part of me thinks like this is something that fans will get over.
Well,
you know?
I'll tell you what, fans get over all sorts of names.
Yeah,
you know, Finn Balor, Kevin Owens,
Daniel Bryan. If you told me Bryan Daniels was get him with Daniel Bryan, LA
Knight.
I don't really remember fans reacting badly to Daniel Bryan.
I remember some hardcore ROH buds I know.
I used to be in the forums because I'm an old school ROH
forums.
Fan.
You message boards, dude.
Yeah. They were the only people. I can't say that's a lot of people.
The new message boards are Twitter and Facebook and stuff like that. And other things we're a little bit more exposed to, you know. So, I get it. I get it. It's a silly situation to say the least.
Our final story of the evening, Tony Khan recently interviewed by the Vegas Film Critic, and Tony Khan revealed that AEW has reached 41 million viewers around the world just in the past year alone. Commented on also talking about Sting being a top star still, the crowd that loves them, and mentioned that guys like Chris Jericho, Jon Moxley were huge in getting AEW on a global standpoint. Kev, what do you think about that number, about just in general of just that reach that AEW has already had in a short amount of time?
Short amount of time. That's a very, very big number. It's a huge, huge number. The thing that strikes me though is this isn't me poo-pooing. It should be more. It should be more on the platforms they're on. That he says the number is 41 million. I was like, well, that's a lot, but this is me working in the media business. I was like, they should have a lot more people watching this show. I mean, and that I'm talking about the non-domestic number too, because they're in India and they're in Germany. I do think them getting more television is key in more television markets, not just the United States, North America, but I mean, like that show needs to be on in Latin America. That show needs to be on in South America. It needs to be on in more languages. It needs to be more accessible to people as in terms of an on-demand project, in terms of streaming. You know, for a while, WWE was on Netflix. You could pull up the best of WWE until they launched the network on the. I've been saying for a while, they need to be. If you're in bed with Warner Media right now, you need to be on HBO Max. HBO Max is skyrocketed. It is something that a couple of years ago people said $50 a month. This isn't going to work. Now, the pandemic, streaming going in, it's done very well. HBO Max has really turned a corner and done some big, big things. I've said it for a while. They need to be on that. I think that's where pay-per-view needs to be for them. That's competitively in terms of what wrestling fans want. I mean, people are still buying pay-per-views, right? But a lot more people would see a all elite wrestling revolution coming up in March if they could watch it on HBO Max.
Yeah.
Within 2 or 3 days. I'm not saying you have to kill the pay-per-view product, but I mean, there has to be some middle of the road. You have to find a way to do it. I don't think BR Live is that platform.
No, that platform is crap.
And I'm not, yeah, there is some logistical issues with it. People complain about the issues you have with Peacock and different things like that for the premium events. But you have to convert. You're trying to convert, like, what is it? So like you're doing a million and a half people watching the TV shows a week for them, like the 2 TV shows they have a week. And we're converting about, 250,000 to 160,000 people buying the pay-per-views. It tends to be the range they're in. And they're only doing 3 or 4 of these a year. And they're making most of their money on TV rights. They're in a very, very good position. But at the scale that they're growing, there is some real humps they have to get over in terms of media distribution, reach, and the size of the audience. But I don't, like I said, we already have some people saying thumbing down BR Live. People complain about Peacock. There's tons more logistical issues when you want to watch something on BR Live for some people. And I hear that across the board.
Yeah. And HBO Max has deals all the time. I just signed up for 12 months for $12 a month. So
not a bad deal
on ad free. Yeah.
Then you're talking about like a Peacock number there too.
Yeah.
And maybe you get it with ads, maybe you don't. They're doing the tier thing. Remember a couple years ago when Sid, remember the WWE Network was going to launch and there was like this tier of it and people were like, what is this? Just pass me the money and I'll pay it once a month. I remember people were like, what is this tier thing? Just tell me, why is there multiple prices now that's kind of like the norm. Like that's a norm. There's like multiple things of that. What's your take, Sid?
I think this number is very impressive.
It is
for
impressive,
where they're at, and they're only 3. This is only the second full year they've been on network television. 41 million for the year is very impressive for where they're at. As far as where they'll go in the future, I think they're on pace for what they want to do. I understand all the people that have objections about any wrestling company, especially a major one, being on pay-per-view. AEW has turned around what the pay-per-view business was for professional wrestling, where it was when WWE took their major shows off of pay-per-view is a lot better now than what AEW is doing than what WWE was doing back then. And WWE had probably a bigger number, but they weren't making enough off their pay-per-views while AEW is. So I think they're on pace. I think the idea of putting them on a streaming service is still a 5-year away type of idea, but I definitely agree with the fact they got to get off of BR Live. That's not where it's at. Put your stuff on traditional pay-per-view, put your stuff on Fight TV. Fight TV is probably the most reliable outside of like traditional pay-per-view for their major shows. So I would go there for the time being. But like I said, 5-6 years from now, I think that's when they will enter into that conversation, because they don't want to go on a streaming service until they accumulate a real catalog. Like they have 2 full years on network television. That's not enough to get on a streaming service like HBO Max, and Tony Khan realizes that. So that's why I think they're going at the pace that they want to go at.
Yeah.
Get something on there. You know what I mean? Get like a best of the year. Get something on there. And
it's not really necessary. They could pop a rating on TNT or TBS by doing a best of there.
I'm not even talking about popping a rating. It's just reaching some people who've never heard of your product before, getting people to sample it. The same way that WWE has benefited from this Fox deal the past few years is the Super Bowl. When Fox did the Super Bowl a few years ago, they did this collaboration. We're going to film a special match just for you for the pre-show for the Super Bowl, which I thought was fine. It was like a 5-minute match with Roman Reigns and Dolph Ziggler, and they did some cool stuff. And they did picture-in-picture of all the different things that are going on in SmackDown. It was like something like that would be really, really cool, And they've done some of that with like ads and different things they do during like sports and the NHL and all this other stuff. But I mean, for me, you're trying to convert that premium audience, an audience that will spend money for something they think is really, really cool. And HBO is not television. It's HBO. This is an audience that wants that unbridled thing that they pay for. There's shows you watch on there. And the rub and the allure and the premium verified, you'll spend the money you're spending for nature you get with HBO, to a common fan, that means more. They don't think Warner Media and all these different things. Oh God, they're on HBO? They're not going to think like, oh wow, they're on Warner Media's HBO Max. No, they're on HBO. Oh, okay, cool. I'll check that out. It must be good.
My only thing is we're treating AEW like they're supposed to be in the spot of WWE. We're not. I think
which is a great conversation to be in.
No, but I think by suggesting this stuff, we are not acknowledging the fact that it took about 30 years for the WWE to get their own network service. And I'm just counting the Vince McMahon years. I'm not counting all the years that they were in existence before then. But even if you want to just say, 2001, when they went national and went on the stock exchange, it took them 15 years to get a network service. It took them 10 years to get on Netflix, on any service with just a special or just one or two special. You're asking AEW to do that in their third year. That's ridiculous to me. I think that's preposterous.
I'm not asking it. I'm telling you, I think they're in a position where that's a possibility. You know what I mean? Like that's just the circumstances we're in. That's all. My
counterpoint is that everyone that has done the research, from Tony Khan to analysts, are saying that they're not in a position to do that, and you're saying they are.
I think there's more to it. Like, they're not. Are they going to do it tomorrow? No. You're saying like in a few years? Oh yeah, that makes complete sense. But I mean, that's where everything's going. 10 years, even when the network was launched, people were like, they're going to get how many people on this? So there was a lot of people that were kind of like questioning the network. Now you have to have something like that. Like now that is the norm. I'm just saying this is the game you're playing now. These are the expectations now. This is the world you're in now. Are going to the theaters to see a movie the way you're going to see movies in 5 years? That's a very questionable thing to ask people. And that regard, I'm saying this is the way you're playing it. This is the way people are getting content now. That's all I'm bringing up, and that's the game you're jumping into. If the pool is a little bit deeper than you were expecting it to be, you still got to swim. That's all I'm bringing up.
Yeah. Well, the whole movie thing. I mean, we had over a year worth of not being in the movie theater, and look what Spider-Man did when it came back. So I don't think movie theaters are going to really die. They're adapting as they are anyways.
This Matrix movie comes out, and it doesn't make the money they thought it was going to make at the box office, because you could watch it on HBO Max. I watched it on HBO Max. I was already paying the money for it.
As for AEW, they can still do the traditional pay-per-view model because they're only doing 4 a year. That's not a problem at all. The problem is the service that it's being used on. I don't know why they don't consistently go on Fight. They were on Fight for God, I can't remember if it was. I think it was Double or Nothing. Was on Fight.
Drop it on the Max, on HBO Max, like a week later or something like that.
Yeah.
You would get that with the big pay-per-view boxing matches. HBO doesn't really do pay-per-view boxing at the scale they used to. I don't even think they really do it much at all. When they would, you would get it like a week later. You would get the Tyson fight or something like that. And mind you, everyone would know what it is. But I mean, that's a way to reach people. Just like a best of or something. That's all I'm saying. Just
because right now
get going with it.
They don't have any kind of capacity on HBO Max to do live broadcasts. So they'd have to completely change that infrastructure to be able to provide pay-per-views there. So that's why I think what Sid's saying is I don't know if it's going to be 5 years, but it's not going to be anytime soon. Just because they can't do it. Right now HBO Max would have to completely change their infrastructure in order to allow for live broadcasting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, what I'm saying is, personally, I like AEW, but I have 1,001 issues before them going to a streaming service is one of them anytime soon. That's what I'm really trying to say.
For me, it's one of the bigger things I have just with how anyone wants to distribute their content and the position they're in. I don't know if they're in that position right now, but that's a position they got to put themselves in. You know what I mean? If they're winning the Intercontinental Championship, I was like, let's get a world title, guys. You know what I mean? Like it's a doable thing. That's the only reason I say it. I was like, it's not like this moonshot concept that could have been years ago, even for the behemoth of the industry in WWE. Now it's very, very doable. This is not undoable. But BR Live is not it. You know, like that is, I think, across the board. Not it. You have to order on your phone, then figure out how to get into your computer to do it. And you need some logistical things with it. And it's kind of weird because they're both under the same company too. Mm-hmm. You know, like, so there's a lot of challenges there. And I'm just marveling at the growth they've had in such a short period of time, you know, and they're only going to get bigger. Even if the product on TV drops off, the growth they have in terms of the wealth of production and content is just going to grow and grow and grow.
That is all we have. That is all we have.
The awkward transition there at the end. Sid, you're busy with us. I believe you're joining us on Saturday for the Trivia Royal Rumble, the Royal Trivia Rumble.
Yes, where I expect the general manager, Jeremy Bennett, to hand me over the Sportskeeda Wrestling Trivia Championship of the World. Not only have I defeated everyone that they have put in front of me, I called my shot at the Survivor Series trivia show and swept Team Rick Ucchino. Yo, Rick Ucchino don't even show up on Top Story anymore. He's stuck on Smack Talk on Sportskeeda Wrestling ever since I embarrassed him on the Survivor Series trivia show. So I shouldn't have to go through any Royal Rumble, any 29 other participants to get what is rightfully mine. And if I have to be in the Royal Rumble to get it, I am filing a lawsuit against Sportskeeda Wrestling Trivia Federation. Yes.
Illegal action?
I am filing a lawsuit. I'm already saying it, ladies and gentlemen. But you can find me on the Twitter machine at TrueHillSP3 and give me your lawyer suggestions. I got Jerry McDivitt on speed dial.
He's retiring.
He's retiring from doing WWE cases, not SP3 cases.
So he's gonna take small time stuff now.
he's gonna work pro bono. All right, definitely check out True Heel Heat as well. Great show that you have. I've caught that the past few weekends. Good times, man. Shots fired. CRC saying shots fired by SP3. Yeah, he never holds back with these type of things, and I appreciate that immensely.
Yeah, if Rick doesn't show up Saturday, we may have to do the Rumble for an interim title.
That's going to be at 1 Central, 2 Eastern. Join us for that Saturday night for our fans in India as well and across the world. If you can't catch it live, definitely get it on demand. I'm looking forward to this. It will be a Royal Rumble with people coming on screen like crazy.
And a countdown.
And like all these different things. Logistically, they were like, this is going to be a nightmare. we're just like thinking about this. And I'm not going to be in a studio the whole time. I'm going to be quite busy. Jeremy, what do you got going on? Where can they follow you on the Twitter machine?
Follow me at JB Huskers. I'm going to be busy this week writing trivia questions for this Saturday. We will then determine whether or not Rick is going to show up for the one-on-one title match or if we throw Sid in the Rumble for the interim title. And hey, we got to have something going on here. Regardless, if Sid doesn't win the Rumble, he does have a title shot, but yeah, we got to get Rick to defend that title. So
call my lawyer while you finish that things off.
You can also I'm pretty busy. I've booked I want to say 15 or 20 different comedy dates in the first 3 or 4 months of 2022, which this feels a lot different than 2020 or 2021. I can tell you that. This Saturday, I will be performing at the Market Lounge of Valparaiso, Indiana, with Mary Lynn Rice Cup of It's Always Sunny fame, which is really, really cool. We'll be doing that show this Saturday. Also going to be in Buzz Bomb Brewery on January 28th, the night before the Royal Rumble in Springfield, Illinois. Going to be at the Rumble as well. And I'm booking some stuff for WrestleMania week in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. So we're looking at doing some big comedy, wrestling, slam jam type deals here coming up in the weeks ahead. You can watch my clips, all my dates at kevinkellum.com. kevinkellum.com. Give it a follow. Give it a follow. Are you in the other ear? Do you have another earpiece on there, Sid, that you're waiting for legal action? Oh, he's got a pause mic here. Yeah. Oh, I get you, buddy. I'm sorry. He's on the phone with his lawyer.
Yeah, his lawyer's telling him to kick rocks.
Yeah, kick rocks and all those different things as well. Check out SP3 True Heel and True Heel Heat every weekend as well. All those good things. Yeah, there you go. Put it over, Sid. Put it over. I appreciate it. This is multitasking man here. Thank you guys for supporting the channel every single day of the week. I really, really appreciate that. I know Jose, who's not here with us today, does as well, and the whole team. And thank you to the whole team, everyone working over in India for us. We have some big stuff coming up in February as well with the Sportskeeda Wrestling Awards, our year-end awards. We kind of want to do it around Oscar season, and we have some really, really cool things happening with that. Tons of different stuff on the channel. Diamond Dallas Page, Vince Russo, Dutch Mantel, all the content with them. Go check it out.
He's still on the phone with the lawyer.
That's okay. That's all right. Maybe we're getting sued now. Maybe we said something weird. We're gonna get it. Bring it, baby. All right. Thank you guys so much for supporting the channel. Remember, when watching wrestling, do the most important thing, whether or not you're being sued. All right, and arguing a trivia issue, you have to do this one most important thing, and that is what, gentlemen?
Enjoy wrestling.
Give me my title.
Yeah.
Watch out, watch out, watch out, watch out.